joining us now is none other than Vanessa Severom. Vanessa, welcome to the show.
Hi. Hello.
Hello. Okay, hold on. Before we begin, buckle up because I'm going to goof all over you right now. Vanessa Severom, how dare you be so freaking talented? Like, you are one of the most, I have never seen quite a performance as commanding, as elegant, as graceful, as visceral, as earthy, connected as what I saw on stage at the Writers Theater with Frida as self-portrait. Thank you for this beautiful gift.
You. Oh my God.
I'm telling
Thank you.
I told you, like, I need to talk to you for 2 hours because this 15 minutes is not going to be enough.
I loved it. It was a good opening night. You were a fantastic audience.
We were really good.
Such a great.
I will
You were really good.
Yeah, I'm responsible for your success. That is correct. Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, that's what it is. Look, congratulations. It really is quite a phenomenal thing. And I do have to theater nerd out. I got so excited when I saw like a little bit of a Suzuki stomp coming at the very beginning of the show. And I'm like, Suzuki, wow. Like I got like my theater nerd came out so hard that I just was like, okay, I want to talk to her about all her Suzuki training and everything, but we'll get to that later. You begin the show with asking the audience, do you see Frida in me? So I've got a question for you. When did you see Frida in you?
Yeah, I didn't until I was out with my gay best friend, Alex, and he was having coffee with me 13 years ago, and he was like, Vanessa, over coffee, like, he makes puppets for a living, but out of nowhere, he was like looking at me, and then he goes, I see a Frida Kahlo in you. And I thought that was a really weird, I was like, what? And I didn't really know that much about her at the time. You know, the Frida mania wasn't a thing at that time. So I started to research her, and as I started to research her, I found this amazing woman that was ahead of her time and really tweetable in the 40s. And what I liked about her is that she was doing this thing that a lot of women, that no women were doing at the time, where women at the time like had to sit pretty and just look good, right, for like a portrait or a photograph. And she was doing something that was really honest, and she was like, I'm in pain, or I've had surgery, or I had 4 miscarriages, and she like painted her pain and was like, this is what I'm going through. And I think a lot of people look at her paintings now and go, how brave is that to like be honest and crack your rib cage open and go like, this is what I'm going through, and do you feel that too? And I was like, wow, she's fascinating. Why can't she be, you know, like resuscitated to today? And so like the first time I did it, it was just Frida. It was just, I just took 6 tragedies in her life from age 6 to age 46, and I just did Frida, and it was, you know, it was my crappy first draft, and it was okay, but people loved it. And then I sat on it for like a few years, and I brought Joni Schultz, my director, on, and she was like, well, who's she talking to, Vanessa? Who's Frida talking to? And I was like, I did like the worst thing you could do as a player. And I was like, well, she's talking to the audience. And she's like, but who is that? And I was like, oh, that's a big no-no.
You know,
so
people.
Then I was like, oh, I got to find like there's got to be a narrative, you know? So then I started to research a little bit more, and I found out that in the 50s there was this architect magazine called ID Architecture Magazine, and they had talked about like wanting to go to Casa Azul and interview Diego and Frida about their house, but she died before it could happen. And I was like, well, what if she didn't? Like, what if some white dude from America goes to Mexico City to interview Frida Kahlo about Casa Azul, but ends up getting Frida instead? And so then I had a thing, and I was like, that was my in. And that was like my 2019 version. And then the play got booked all over the place. Like, go to like you know, glamorous places like Cleveland, and you know,
hashtag goals, right?
Right? Then the pandemic happened, and everything just went away. The pandemic, and so like I sat with it, and in 2021, I was like, I'm not doing the thing that I need to do, which is tell the truth about why I see a Frida Kahlo in me. And the truth is that I'm a Latina artist with a disability. And I was like, I got to talk about it. Otherwise, I'm not telling the whole story. I'm just telling like one half. So then I rewrote it in 2021 with Joni's help. And then Portland, Oregon, Portland Center Stage picked it up in 2021. And that's like the version that you see today. Like I just decided to make it kind of also Vanessa self-portrait as well as Frida.
Yeah, and it really is the way you seamlessly go back and forth between Frida and you know, kind of. I don't want to say it blurs the lines between the two because you are two very distinct, different people, you know. But you can see the connections, the bloodlines, literally the bloodlines that you have on stage, you know, near the end. Like, I mean, it really is. I'm getting tongue-tied because I'm just flabbergasted. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to goof all over you some more, but it's just no. But it really is just like the way that the entire piece is constructed. Just from like the nuts and bolts of it, it is fantastic. How did you come up with the movement vocabulary? Because there's some repetition of moments of like, and now we're back into a story. You know, like you know that when we're entering into a fantasy world, or we're back into reality, or we're back into Frida's world, or we're back into Vanessa's world. How did you come up with the vocabulary?
Yeah, I mean, I love gestural work. That's an awesome question. Thank you. Like, I love gestural work, and I feel like it's a universal language, and I that's what I love about movement. Like, you can speak any language, and we understand what's going on when we use movement as like the vehicle to learn how to watch a play. So I came up with a gesture for Frida that as soon as I have to pop back into her, that it's the same thing where I kind of wipe my brow. But then, like, for things that were difficult to talk about, and I did write these whole things out, you know, about like her bus accident and, you know, her miscarriages. And then I was like, the words are diluting it. And I thought, the most powerful thing I can do is tell it through movement. So I have a dance background. I was a major in dance, and then I switched it to a minor. But I wanted to use movement and like modern dance in that way to be able to convey things that were too painful to talk about, but also because I had a dance background, I knew that her dad, when she was 6 and she had polio, he did these like really rigorous exercises with her. And he made her like ride a bicycle, which was like unheard of when you had polio because it was super hard to do. And I was like, well, I don't want to use dance for that. I was like, I want to use something that is like hard. And as you know, Suzuki method for actors is like, it's like boot camp. Like it's so hard. So I went to Canada and I trained under Ellen Lauren at City Company, and I was like, she was vicious, you know, like she was just hardcore on me, and I learned Suzuki method under her, and I was like, that's what it has to be. I was like, whenever Frida needs to recalibrate and like use her pain as a vehicle to keep pushing forward through difficult times, I thought Suzuki method would be the thing to ground her. So that's the other thing that I put in the show. So there's like lyrical kind of soft dancing movements, and then there's also like this hard, rigorous animal grounding thing that happens with her. And that's kind of the vocabulary that I came up with.
Yeah, and kudos to you. I mean, it really is just, it is so effective and so profound. And just even thinking about how watching you as a performer, you are so present and in your body. Like you are just in your body 100% in a way that I guess Frida was also in her body 100%, but in a completely different way. Yeah. Because her story is of such excruciating physical pain. Yeah, that it was like, I'm like, the movement pieces were some My husband just about lost it during the miscarriages. He was like, "Oh no, let's go! No, no, no!" I'm like, "Baby, it's okay. Like that's just a nice lady. She it's okay." But it was like it really is very, very powerful, and I love that you take something so universal as a physical image, as as the body, as movement, to reach us in a very, very deep and emotional way. It's just, it really is stunning. And I'm babbling again.
Will you Will you be continuing? So after this run, are you headed somewhere else, or what are your plans?
I will be in at Milwaukee Repertory Theater in the spring of 26, and so that's they just announced that, and that will be in the spring of 26. I'll be there from March until end of May. But there's other theaters that just from being here in Chicago, like a lot of it kind of popped up on the radar, which was interesting because I was like, I really kind of thought that I'd be hanging up the Frida flowers after this one. And so, it's something to think about of like, okay, do I continue it? But, I also want to honor her and put an end to it when it's the appropriate time, like we can't all Patti LuPone it,
Right.
God bless her.
Yeah. So,
right.
I mean, clearly you've had this, it sounds like a 13-year journey with Frida, and then I guess like a 6-year journey with this play itself in terms of like from the first draft to what it has become now. What are some of the lessons that you have gleaned from Frida?
Goodness. It's I think the biggest one for me is I got really, really good at hiding my disability in an industry where we have to be this cookie cutter type. And, I'm of an age where it's like in the 90s, they were just like, you have to fit this stereotype. And if you did it, they were like, good for you, you're making it, And so I conditioned myself really well to be able to fool directors and come in and like hide my left hand. I like had I was so good. I'd have like a coat over my hand, or I had pockets in my dress.
Can you just tell our listeners a little bit about your disability?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born with a congenital disorder. And if you've seen like Nemo, it's my tiny fin. So it's like my left hand didn't fully form. I have like part of a thumb, and then I've got 4 small nubbins as the rest of my fingers. And it is something that a lot of people are born with, and it can be on either hand or it can be on feet. And, I just never saw anyone like me in the theater industry ever. And so I really tried to format myself into a place that I fit. And the biggest lesson, I think, is just like what Frida does, where it's like, hey, we don't have to be this thing. We can be exactly who we are and like put it out there unapologetically. And then that's the world we're actually living in. And therefore people, when they encounter it, it's not going to be like, oh my God, they're different, And so I think the biggest lesson for me was not just also falling in love with Frida and her bravery and how she pushed through difficult situations and her disabilities and her tragedies, but that with me, I was able to like fully let myself be open and show exactly who I am. And that was the biggest lesson. And it's actually changed the way I perform. I mean, I was very lucky. I was working great before, I was doing like Maggie the Cat. And it's not like I was missing opportunities, but I feel like now there's this way we condition ourselves. And we all have something, I think. We all have something. And we condition ourselves to mask and go out in the world. And it's the unschooling of that I still, like, if I'm on stage, I'm like, you don't have to do that, Vanessa. You can just be exactly who you are. And it's a teaching moment for all of us, even myself included. So that's been the biggest thing for me. It's been life-changing. It's been the biggest life change of my career.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned from it.
It does feel almost like a Frida portrait of being cracked open and like something, a release coming out of it.
Is that something? So once you would, it's interesting. You were talking about how you had found these ways to compensate for it. But then once you were cast, what kind of conversations were you having, or were you continuing to compensate and you know, other actors or director or producers would never divulge that?
I'm sorry, what is the question? What happens when they saw it?
Well,
Is that
I
what
just
the question
wondered,
is?
like, how much you were compensating in terms of, like, you talked about in an audition process, you would compensate.
yeah.
I just wondered what would happen once you were cast. Was the burden, did it continue to be
You
on
know,
you?
It was, you know what, it's so funny because I could probably write a book about the timing of all of it because I could see it, and I knew the minute somebody saw it. Like,
Yeah.
the very split second. I would come in and audition. I loved to wear dresses with pockets. I would typically keep my left hand in my pocket. Or I would have a prop,
Sure.
and that was easy to hide as well. So as soon as I got cast, I would hide my hand for approximately 2 weeks. 2 weeks in, by that point, the director loved what I was doing. We all got along. Everything was working. And the minute they saw it, they always do a double take.
Yeah.
They always are like, did I just see that? And you could see it in their eyes. They're like, did I just,
Right.
is that what I think I see? And they usually ended up having a convo with somebody in the cast. I'm like, is her hand like that? You know, and I would always hear from another actor. And they're like, yeah, that's Vanessa's hand. And most of the time they would just go with it because the performance was,
Right.
you know, formed and compelled enough that they didn't have a problem. I did have one person get very upset, a director, and that he thought that I should have a prosthetic hand in my of all things, my makeup kit. And I was like, what, in my Ben Nye kit?
What?
Like, come on.
What?
And that's
Yeah, I mean,
and I'll say that's why I asked, not so much of like, because the burden continues to be on the person and how unfair that is. And so that I wondered if it, you know, if you were able then to sort of bring your authentic self into those spaces. But the fact that even for those first 2 weeks, you still had to do that, it just sucks, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it does suck. And I have to say it is not that, you know, once I became more established and directors did know, and a lot of them, like Joni had absolutely no problem whatsoever. She was like, great, you know, but Joni is like the dream director. Like everyone wants to be directed by Joni Schultz. Like she's one of the smartest humans on the planet. Yeah. And but once I worked with a director and I was recast by them, you know, and ones that had a problem, I just never worked for again, you know, so. Yeah, but it's just not the case anymore. And now I come because I'm doing a disservice to all of us if I do that, you know, and the world needs to change. It needs to change, period.
Yeah.
Like, we have to go like, this is life.
Yeah.
I remember for years, I mean, the actor on MASH, Radar, I don't know his specific condition, but he always hid it the entire run of the series. And it's like, hey, how about if Radar just didn't hide it, you know? But I don't even think it was a conversation on the table back then.
There's an actress. I'm going to blank. I'm going to like be perimenopausal on you and like not remember the name of the show. But there was a show about that guy on the dating show that ended up being a total psycho and killed women.
Oh, is it Anna Kendrick?
Yes. So she actress in that show, and I'm watching it, and I freaked out. I'm like, I was like, oh my god. I'm like, she has a hand like mine, and I paused it, and I'm like, rewind, and I look, and sure enough, the actress that ends up catching this guy at the end, she's got a hand just like mine. She's unapologetic. Like Anna Kendrick doesn't hide it, but then I clocked it right away, and it was just like this moment of relief where I like saw myself on the screen. I was like, okay, it's happening. Like we are okay to do this. Yeah.
Well, amazing across the board. Congratulations.
Yeah, and congratulations on this show. Again, it really is. It's something special, and it really is I think required viewing for this time, because I'm going to screw up a line. But there was a moment in Frida, a self-portrait, where you talk about pain and passion, and there was another word, and I can't remember what it is. It's near the end, but it was like
at the end of the day, we can endure more than we think we can. Pain, pleasure, and death are no more than a process for existence.
yes, that is it. And thank you. That's right, because you wrote it. You know it. But it was like watching. I'm like, yes. I think one of my biggest takeaways from the show is that pain is inevitable. Like pain, it exists, and it can be ever present, but we can go through, and the only way out is through. And
Correct.
And to again, live your truth, speak your truth. Frida's paintings, that whole moment of like, why do you like this? Do you think it's pretty? No, it is truthful. You know, there's something about that. And watching this entire show, it's like, all right, let's look at the beautiful, ugly truth that is happening right before us. Embrace the pain and carry on. And that is what I carried away from that. I hope I didn't overreach.
You didn't. Thank you so much.
No.
That's high praise. I love it.
No. I could talk to you. I gotta let you go because you've got to go do this play real soon. But I, like I said, I could talk to you for about an hour, just on your Suzuki stomps alone. And then, but I'm telling you, folks, Run, Don't Walk to Frida, a self-portrait, written and beautifully performed and beautifully written by Vanessa Severom. It runs through February 23rd at Writers Theater. For more information and for tickets, go to writerstheater.org, and that's theater with an R-E because they're fancy that way. And Vanessa, thank you for being one of the strangest people in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a fabulous run. And take care of your body. You do a lot of stuff up there. So
I'm doing it. Thank you. Thanks for clapping.
all right. Oh, Vanessa Severom from Frida, a self-portrait, now playing at Writers Theater. Break all the legs and have a fabulous run.